Hockey Nation fans, welcome back to the Hockey Nation live show with Coach Frenchy directly from the booth, and of course, directly from the West Coast, Michael Devellino. Welcome back, Michael, to another great day of hockey with a lot of news around the league. We know yesterday was a meeting between the manager and we have a couple of comments about that. I would like to have your input about what's going on over there. But before we move on to the happening over there, we have to go to our normal routine, and we always start with a couple of signature around the league. Everything like that. It was really. But I can call it a little bit of quiet, honestly. But you have like one big players got signed. We need to get a little bit more your input about that one, of course. But before we talk about him, we have a three minor signature. Let's start with the Minnesota Wild signed Louis Belpedio, 700 resigned players, 24 years old, defenseman. Nothing major there. He's always played for Iowa Wild. Is it Wild? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So Iowa Wild. Where is my buddy Alex Tanguay coaching over there?
Oh, is he coaching there?
Yeah, he's coaching there. Yep. So he was one of the signatures. Then talking about Minnesota, they signed their first round pick overall 2020 for, of course, an entry level deal. Marco Orozzi. Marco, I think it's a good pick at the, I think if I remember, there was 8 or 9, the overall pick.
Yeah, well, wait, Buffalo was 8. 9 was Minnesota. Yeah, so 9 was Minnesota.
Yeah.
He's predicted that he's going to make the team.
You know
what? He might, because he's an overager. So he's got nothing to prove at the OHL, and he could actually, and they've stripped down that team. He might make that team.
He many expert, like they do their mocks and the draft, everything like that. Many of them, he was at the top 6, and many of them.
Some people had him 4. Like, yeah. There's a big discussion about the Red Wings taking him, and I was like, don't take him. Like, I'm glad they took Lucas Raymond, because I felt Raymond was, he's younger, and he's already played against men, and Rossi's an overager, but Rossi might, what's he going to gain for another year?
Not at that moment. It'll be better to play over there and learning, and at that level. Plus, Minnesota is not on the what
they're stripping the team down, right?
But Minnesota is not the team's called like rebuilding, but they are not like the top of the league, everything like that. So I think it would be good for him to be a part of this and grow slowly, learning. And then I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a good one over there.
They have a hole at center, right? Yeah. Like, we feel that they don't have a number 1 center. They don't have Koivu's back, which is not a number 1 center, but they've got Parise still, and they got Suter. And who better to mentor with if Parise's on your wing and you're a second line center? And then they got Kaprizov coming finally from Russia. And he looks like the real deal. Like, he should be a top player, but he's not a centerman. So he could make that team.
Yep, exactly. We'll see what happened over there with him. Talking about Calgary is signing another one. It's a back-to-back days after they signed yesterday, Dominic Simon.
We were just talking about them needing a goalie. Or a defenseman. Sorry, defenseman.
The defenseman, Nikita Nesterov.
And he's a good defenseman.
Not bad at all. I think, $700,000 1 year. Nesterov, he was with Montreal Canadiens in the past.
And Tampa, right?
Yeah, 5'11", 191.
I don't mind him. I think he's for $700,000. He's a good 6-7 option, and he can play a regular shift. I mean,
yeah, he's a 148 overall pick and 2011. So I think a lot of teams need more depth, right? They need more depth like that. So I think it's at the end of the day, I think it's good for him to see what happened in there. And but he never played in NHL, if you know that, right?
So, Nesterov?
He played like 3 games, 1 game at Montreal after that. He returned to KHL for 3 years, for the last 3 years. So it'll be interesting to see that.
But he played quite a bit. He's played 132 NHL games. Like he played 13 games in Montreal, but he played 35 that same season with Tampa, and he played 57 and 27. So he's played
earlier, like maybe at the beginning, like maybe like with Tampa 15, 16, 57 game, honestly. You're right.
He's an experienced defenseman. Like I remember him in Tampa. He went, you're right, back to the KHL, but I think he's a good player. Yeah. Anyways, I think it's a good signing.
Yeah, of course. It's again like Tampa, Calgary maybe more depth, everything like that.
A little bit. And they've got it now. If you start looking at the guys, they've signed a lot of depth guys that we talked about. Like they've got the Nordstrom. They got the other signing the other day with
Danev.
Simon, you mentioned. Sorry, what was the other one?
Danev, defenseman.
Danev is, well, they have the high-end signings, but the lower-end guys like Nordstrom, Simon, and now Nesterov. And they got another defenseman, I thought. But anyways, that's a good signing.
Yep. But, you know, talking about signature, I think the biggest yesterday was the one where I need more experience. I need to call Kyle Dubois because I don't know, or maybe the agent of Travis Dermott. I think I think he's going to lose a lot of players. I don't know, but the story is about Travis Dermott signed with Toronto Leaf, 1 year contract at $874,000 and $125 dollars. You know, Tuba is on the way where he count all the pennies and the dimes because that's what they are, Toronto, honestly. And to sign him, this kid at under $1 million, it blew my mind. Yeah,
blew my mind. This guy should be at least $2.83 million.
Maybe not because I think overall he did not produce a lot of defense.
Offensively, yeah, but he's not playing in that role. But he's a top 4 there. That's what's crazy. Like he's going to play top 4. He might not this year because they got Riley. So they got Riley, the 2 veterans, Brody and Muzzin, right?
Yeah.
But Rasmus Sandin, he could flex up and down. You know, I don't know if he's going to be a top 4. Just a weird move, no matter what way you cut it. Like I was very surprised. He's definitely worth more than that. I realized he only had 11 points, right? Is that what the issue was?
4 goals, 7 points, 7 assists.
Yeah, 11 points.
But still,
it's not horrible.
Sometimes you don't have to. You cannot qualify a defenseman only for points. You know, the kids play 18 minutes, 17 minutes per game.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's a top 4. Like it doesn't make sense to me. But this seems like last year where Kevin Labanc for San Jose signed a very team favorable deal of $1 million, and everybody's like shocked because the guy had a huge year, and then he comes back and he gets 5.1 for $4 million. So he got overpaid now. That makes up for the other money. And that's probably what the deal is here. They know they won't have Spezza back. They know they won't have Thornton back. They've got some other expiring contracts, I think. So that next year will be a little bit different for them. And I think they're making the sale that, hey, we're going to take a run at the cup this year. Like, this is it. We're not waiting anymore.
All right. So, yeah, we give you – I know we don't have to talk about –
the richest team in the NHL. Justin Hall got $2 million, Pierre.
So that's my point. I was going to talk to you about that, right? We have Muzzin, the most, you know what I mean, like 5 points. Right? He's 31 years old. That he deserves it, right? Riley, because he's 26, he got a bridge contract for 3 years or 4 years, maybe for $5 million. That's normal. DJ Brody just got a contract, $5 million. That's what they are looking for defensemen. But now I'm out. Justin Old is 28, got a $2 million. And then Mikko Littonen, Rasmus Sandin, not
all ahead of him.
And in front of Travis Dermott at 8.
I know. It's definitely there's definitely a handshake deal here, right? Like they're definitely going to pay him next year. It'll be overpaid. This is a cap move, and he's doing what Labanc did for San Jose. right? Kevin LeBanc last year, again, signed $1 million deal, 1 year. He said, I'm betting on myself and I'm doing the team a favor. And that's what this kid's doing, which is strange because they're the richest team in hockey, but it's a cap problem, right? So he's going to play ahead of Sandin, I think. I mean, he's going to play ahead of Bogosian. He's going to play again ahead of Hall. I like Hall. Don't get me wrong. I think normally Hall's worth $2 million, but Dermott to me is a top 4. Anyways, it is what it is. So it's kind of crazy. He'll get rewarded next year.
Nine, contract. So I will give you an example like Justin Ohl, right? Scored 2 goals last season. Dermott got 4.
I know.
16 assists, Dermott have 7, but he played 68 game, Dermott, compared to he played only 56. Now, maybe I'm right or wrong. He never played a full season since he played in NHL the last 3 years.
No, but he's clearly top 4 on that team. And
no, my point is injuries I'm talking about. Not like not like he got.
No, I know. But the other thing is Dermott is 23 and Hall's 28, so I get that. So Dermott still is a restricted free agent next year. So they're going to reward him. They don't have a risk of losing him, but it's they're going to give him money next year when all these guys are gone. Like Bogosian will be gone. You'll have Thornton gone. You'll have Spezza gone. But he's going to be in the same problem next year. He's got those 3 giant contracts. It'll be interesting to see if the cap stays where it is because the revenue is going to be down.
I think the problem they got Toronto is they give too much money and Matthews and Marner.
Of course, yeah. 3 giant contracts. Marner, Tavares, and Matthews.
At the beginning, the contract bridge. I think that's what you should tell them. Hey, we're going to give you $6,000. McKinnon been there. Mark Barkov is there.
$6 million,
there. They have a lot of players at between 20 to 25. They got a higher level price, but not like over $9 million. So they get paid right now more what they
you can see here what's going on though. You can see on that lineup next year, Zach Hyman's unrestricted, Wayne Simmons is unrestricted, Jimmy VC is unrestricted, Spezza, Thornton, Travis Boyd, Bogosian, and Lettinen. They're all unrestricted next year.
Yeah, but they are like third, 4 line. You know what I mean? Third, 4 line.
That's a lot of money that frees up.
The only thing I would be curious, like Hyman, how much he can get.
He could get more because he's been showing he can produce offensively, even in limited action. So if he keeps doing that.
So Gerfoot get 3.5 right now.
He'll get at least that.
At least that. So maybe $4 million, right?
Yeah, unless he has he was injured this year. So his production, but still, like he showed he's a really good player.
Like Toronto have to get more like a $1.5 million, $2 million there. Dermott will never sign another contract at that moment. So it's going to be about $3 million there. And then when we don't talk about Frederick Anderson, do you really believe he's going to sign back at $5 million?
Do they stay with Freddie Anderson?
No, but Anderson at that moment, he will deserve to get at least 6.5.
But I don't know if they'll keep him. That's why they were trying to trade him because he's unrestricted, right? So I don't know what goalies are up. You may see them extend him at 6, or you may see him extend him at 5 because I think the cap's going to drop. I mean, at some point they've got to see the cap drop, right? Maybe not, but it might be inconvenient, but revenues are going to be down significantly, I think.
So anyway, at the end of the day,
it's crazy. It's interesting to see what's going on.
Because he shocked all the world in Toronto yesterday. Sportnet, TSN, everybody was like, "Oh my God, what the heck you did over there?" So
it's what it is. They're pitching that. Look, we're going to load up for 1 year. We got all these veteran guys. They're all going to be gone.
Absolutely right.
Let's make a run at it.
Great.
If we don't, we're going to blow it up anyway. He's probably saying, "Screw it. I'm going to trade Nylander. I'm going to trade Kerfoot. We're going to dump Tavares. If we don't win it, then that's the end of it."
Yep, absolutely right. Yep, absolutely right about that one over there. So would be really interesting about what's next over there. But before we jump on the other subject, honestly, the next one is the situation with the management, the manager
Managers
meeting
meeting.
yesterday at usually it's a Boca Raton, but unfortunately with this year everybody was at home. Every time that they have a lot of subject. He's not on my board anymore, but they have it was first the schedule, the format, the division, how many games they're going to play. The second thing was about the draft lottery, where some teams are not very happy. Thirdly, it was about the situation update about Seattle, Kraken, about the draft list, everything like that, and then finally the situation with AHL and about what the return, everything, what's going on with the players development, everything like that. I maybe missed one, but maybe if you know the next what I forgot, just let me know. But otherwise, I think I touched all the subject happening yesterday. It was not 3 days; it was only a 1 day situation.
Yeah.
From all the people I search around the league, and I search around all the website and everybody I follow on Twitter, everything like that. Honestly, everybody was on the same page where uh, nothing was confirmed about what's going on. They discuss about division, they talk about the game, everything like that. Now, at the end of the day, around 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, NBA announced the return of the upcoming season 2020-2021 around December 22nd, 20 at the Christmas Day. So that's now pushed NHL. A lot of complaining, or not complaining, but the worries you cannot put NHL out for 4 or 5 months. Does it make sense? Like not return like they was. So they don't expect don't skip October, November, December, January, February. So a lot of discussion yesterday was about the January 1st to come back, everything like that. But again, the problem again is COVID increment, everything like that, the increase everywhere, both countries, and then the rules. I can say what the rules between Canada or USA, you cannot cross the border, and they have a quarantine, 14 days, everything like that. The government tried to talk a little bit with NHL, tried to talk with the government because the World Junior is coming in December. It's another subject. Maybe they have not a special request, maybe a special request you can call it.
There'll definitely be special status, but they'll have to abide by special rules. They'll have to privately fly probably, and they'll probably have to have no contact outside of the arena.
Yeah, so the NHL, the NBA is going to play 72 game next season. So the memo of the meeting yesterday was about try to keep between 70 to 80 game if we can to do that. That's the first thing happening there. They're still talking about some format, conference, division, every time we spoke about this a couple of days ago. So we'll see happening. Now, I want to mention something with Frank Seravalli brings something very important. I think, everybody's player would be paid next week for the first time since April. All players who has a contract for 2021 season and were frozen on roster at the post, we be paid 1.1% of their salary 21 by October 31st. So, you know what I mean? Like the people now they are back to get paid those players, so that would be very interesting about that one over there. So we'll see if the talking is about January 1st, right? So it's nothing guaranteed there, but that's what he tried to accomplish in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. And don't be surprised if in our league, like in the WHL, for example, that we played like a 30, 35 game schedule.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see something similar where it's modified. It'll be interdivision, not even conference. U.S. team to U.S. team. Canadians will even be within their own provincial bubble. So it's going to be interesting. I think that they might end up playing 30, 35 games. And I think there's a lot of owners that don't want to play.
The problem with that one is because they're losing $700 million, $5 million because the contract, TV contract.
Oh, yeah.
And to losing
NHL? Well, no, I'm saying the WHL.
Oh, so, yeah. Sorry.
Right? So the NHL at least is going to drop to 70, I would think. But maybe I'm wrong.
We'll see what happened with that part. So it was the first part of the meeting. The
Maybe it
second
doesn't.
part was really important. Was Detroit Steelers bring the big point over there about the lotteries that should be that way. They try to modify it.
They screwed Detroit how many times?
So that's the point where now Steelers was the one really more making more noise yesterday. But at the same time, other team was agree with him where they should find another way to modify the draft lottery, because at the end of the day, like example, New York Rangers got the first one there where maybe they was not supposed to get whatever it is. I don't want to give give you the formula, the best formula. I don't know what's the best formula, to be honest with you. Maybe there are maybe too many teams in the lottery. That's another thing. Maybe you should get the last 5 position or whatever it is. But you have no reason that moment to give a chance to the team finish between 9 to 16, or the team make the playoff, or the way they did that this year.
No, the fact that the Rangers got the first pick is embarrassing.
This is embarrassing. But imagine if he was in Mountain or Pittsburgh or a better team with more caliber to be
even worse.
Yeah, exactly. So
imagine if Lafreniere went to Edmonton. That would have been insane. I mean, some people would have liked to see Montreal, but I mean, can you imagine? You just keep winning first overall picks, no Stanley Cups.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing about that. They were going to figure out something else also, so they will work on it for the next meeting.
Yeah, crazy. But it's like, how many years has Detroit been screwed? Like sixth pick the fourth pick this year, sixth pick, like it's ridiculous. And they need the help more than anybody.
Yeah. And then the last one is about the AHL. They were supposed to return December 4th. Now they are thinking they're likely to change it because of the situation with and then usually the AHL always start after NHL. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So
because the call up, the training camps, and
yeah, exactly. So
they send down the players that get cut, right? So
they are thinking to do the same way.
They should. They're gonna have to, I think.
I agree with you about that one there. So that was like almost the last, couple of news about around the league. I don't know if you have something else, but
no.
I think it was like everything's going on. Let me check something else happening in the NHL in a few seconds. No, nothing happened there. So I think now we're going to go back and we love what we're doing. Honestly, a lot of people tell me like it's great stuff over there. Let's move on to the last segment of the daily show. Usually we go back to preview of each team, and honestly we go by letters, alphabetically. We go by letters, and today I think is the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yes. Can you see my screen okay?
Not right now because I'm not there, but now I see it. Yep, perfect.
Okay, good. Yep. Yeah, so Carolina, it was a relatively quiet offseason, but as you're going to see, like they're in a really good situation overall. They have tremendous depth at not only the pro level, but even in the AHL, and their prospect pool is very deep. So this is the second or the third year that Rod Brind'Amour, third year now that Rod Brind'Amour is a coach. Frankly, since he's been coach, maybe it's coordinates with the new ownership. So the new owner kind of rubbed everyone a little crazy because he's like an analytics guy and a hedge fund guy, and he wears a baseball cap and he kind of looks disheveled. But they've turned this team into a playoff team legitimately. The only real sign that I saw was Jesper Fast, who previously he's also played in with the Rangers. But this is really, Andrei Svechnikov's team now. We saw in the playoffs when he got hurt and was out that they were a very different team without him. He's clearly their star. The Czech-born player, Martin Nikash, is also, he's totally panned out. Dougie Hamilton continues to be discussed as a trade piece. He's a very good player, but he's kind of an odd guy in the dressing room. You keep hearing this. He's heard it since junior, and he doesn't mix well with the boys. Not that he's bad or anything. He's actually, academic, kind of thoughtful guy, but I think sometimes that works against him because he doesn't hang out with the other guys. So again, you heard him, part of trade discussions. They are very, very deep, though, at every single line. And they have talent on the third and fourth line that could be, higher. I do believe that they should still upgrade one of the two goalie spots. I do like Peter Mrazek. James Reimer can steal you a game and he can lose you a game. He's all over the map. His numbers net out to look good, but so if you're an analytics guy and that's all you care about, but as a coach, you just don't know what you're going to get game to game with him. On the prospect side, they just signed Dominic Bach. They have Ryan Suzuki. They have previously, like Jake Bean looks like he's ready to play in the NHL. They have Jack Drury, who is a second-round pick, and he's in college, but he looks like he's going to be an NHL player. This goalie, Peter Kochetkov, is in the KHL, and he looks like he's going to be more than capable of being at least a backup in the NHL, but maybe better. And then this year they had, I think, a really deep draft. And I'll just focus on the first two picks, but the picks of Seth Jarvis and then getting Noel Gunler, I think that you can see they're very, very deep. They signed yet another ex-Toronto Maple Leaf in Jeremy Bracco, which I was very surprised. Toronto loading up on all these older guys. And Bracco, I think, has the talent to play in the NHL. Like, he can be an effective guy. So I was kind of surprised at that. And then I put an honorable mention here, which was their last draft pick this year, which was Ronan Seeley. He's a defenseman from the Everett Silvertips, so congratulations to Ronan. If you look at the lineup, this is what I was saying before. Like, I think most of the moves they made that are on the roster were made last year. So you can see that top line continues to be really successful, and it's pretty reasonable on paper. Svechnikov is going to have to be re-signed to a new contract after this, so they're going to need the money for that. Aho got an appropriate 8.4, but he's at least a point-a-game player, and we saw in the playoffs he was better than that, so he actually elevated his play. I think he had 12 points in 8 games, right, Pierre?
Yeah.
Something crazy. Tara Vinen, who came from Chicago, continues to show that he's a top-line player, really talented, smart finish player, good playmaker. The third line is your old buddy there from Florida, Trocheck, which I thought was a great acquisition and really solidified that third line. They're overpaying Nino Niederreiter. He's very inconsistent, so you can see in the future that he may not be part of this mix, but they'll have guys that can step up and take that role from down in the lineup or from their prospect pool. Nekash looks like he's going to be a damn good player. Like, he can play center or wing, very highly skilled and talented. You may remember him from the Czech World Junior team. He played in line with Filip Zadina, and I think Zadina is better than him, and he looks really good. So I think Zadina right now and Nekash are both, Czech players that are reaching their potential, which is really exciting to see. You can see the Jesper Fast signing, whether he fits in the third or the fourth line. Jordan Stahl continues to anchor that line. And I don't know if you watched Warren Fogle much.
Which one?
Warren Fogle.
Yeah.
He is a very skilled player, and he's got grit, and he can score. So he's a pretty interesting player. He's unsigned. I don't think he's going to get a big contract, obviously, but you could see him doing a short-term, maybe $1 million, $1.5 million. But he's a very effective player I think he could take Niederreiter's role in the second line. The other guy that's really interesting is Morgan Geekie, and Morgan Geekie's got several younger brothers, but the one that's a highly rated WHL prospect. But Morgan is a 6'3" offensively talented centerman, and he looks like a power forward that can also play way higher, I think, than fourth line. The one that's maybe not surprising, but is kind of disappointing is Ryan Dzingel. I think his numbers, as we thought, were inflated in Ottawa, because he played a bigger role. And I think that against better players, he's going to have a hard time getting ice time. I think he had 8 or 9 goals last year. So they paid a lot for him. They were counting on him to being that 27 goal guy that he's been in the past. But I think you saw in Columbus that, he's not an effective player. And if you have other guys that are more talented, they'll play ahead of him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him this year in Carolina. You could see in the future where that would be a buyout option or a move him as part of some other deal. Brock McGinn's real good. Jordan Martinuk is another pretty good forward, and then they signed Drew Shore. So they have lots of depth on the forwards. On the D, they might have one of the better D in the NHL. Like Jacob Slavin and Brett Pesce, even though people talk about moving them off that roster, they're very good defensemen. And Brady Shea is probably overpaid. However, he is capable of getting 40 points. So if coming over from the Rangers, he is another good defenseman. I would like him a little bit less money, but it is what it is. Dougie Hamilton missed a lot of time last year and continues to be speculated that they'll move him. I don't think he's going anywhere, but he is a 6'5", offensively talented defenseman. I think he's improved defensively. Jake Gardiner, I'm not a fan of. I don't like him he's just not a good defenseman. Bad transition against. He's a good skater though, and he can contribute offensively a little bit. Hayden Fleury really showed he's ready for the NHL. And then they have Jake Bean, who frankly I think is probably at this point I would play him ahead of Jake Gardiner, but he's a defenseman that should be able to come up and maybe take a roster spot that's being chewed up by a guy like Jake Gardiner if he can't perform at the level you want. And I think we talked about this before. I would like to see an upgrade on this. If there's a way for them to get another goalie, there was talks of the Freddie Anderson move with Toronto, but that never happened. I would not be surprised to see James Reimer move out and they bring in another goalie. Mrazek does perform well, but again, they're both a little bit inconsistent.
Yep. Yeah, I think in that list, I would say like the first thing to do is upgrade the goalies. That's maybe the one part over there. I think if you look on the back on the lineup forward, I think Nino is maybe not where he should be. The right chair over there.
I agree.
I like the Warren because he's maybe not like yet like Alex Dock, but he could be a kind of player who can score 15, 20 goals per season. He's a good place over there. Now Morgan is they have to give him a chance because the kid had almost like a 1 point in the AHL last season. I think at 44.54, something like that. He played 2 games in the NHL, have already 4 points. He have 3 goals.
I know he's if you like, we saw him in the W, but he's really improved his game in the AHL. Like they worked with him, and he's big. He's like 6'3", and he's got skill. Like I can see him being on the 4th line.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to follow him. I was someone I would follow next season. Now Ryan Ditzel, he scored 8 goals last season. Honestly, he did 30 points, 29 points. That's maybe 10 points for a year of what he does, 40, 45. Now he played only 60 games, so it's maybe like another 3-4 points. Maybe. But the point is like the role he has with Ottawa and before Columbus is not the same role he has with Carolina now.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just like a $3.5 million play on the 4 line. It's maybe more expensive, but you still have one more year. Now on the defensive side, everything you want, you see the Jake name, Gardiner name on your lineup, you're shaking. But that's me.
I'm the same. I do not like him as a defenseman. He's just he's a weird skater. He's odd one-on-one. When you are a -24 and pretty much every other player on your team is a plus, there's something going on.
Yeah, exactly. On the 6th lead right there, I really like Fleury. I think he flew
he's really good.
More during the playoff. I think you see him more like him. The trade he got from New York, the Rangers defenseman.
Brady Shea.
Yeah, he did not play well. I think he have no goal with Carolina, but he's a home base also more. What's happening to him?
He only played 7 games, right? With them?
Because after the trade line. But again, I don't know. I'm not sure if he's really 3 and 4 there. I don't know. We have an upgrade.
He's overpaid. I mean, they thought that, when they signed him, I think in the Rangers, they thought he was going to be like a 40-point guy consistently. And you've seen his numbers drop down to more like 25.
But again, back to you, is like, usually if you have a Cardinal at $4 million, he should be the number 3 and 4 that lineup. And then Brady come back 5 and 6. So it's just like normal. It's just the chair.
Yeah,
When I was
on paper they're okay, but the cap part of it is a problem. Like I think Shea and Gardner, they're gonna have to lose one of those. I think Gardner just as a player, I don't like. I think Jake Bean at this point is better and would be cheaper. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with Gardner because he was terrible last year, as we had predicted.
No, they still have $4 million to spend, 4.3, honestly.
But then they got to sign Svechnikov, right, next year.
Yeah, so they have two RFA this year. They have Warren for Joe, and also Eden Fleury, where I think he can get like $1 million there. You know what I mean? For maybe like another million there, 1.5 for Warren. Maybe that's another one I'm thinking about, that one over there.
I agree.
They can take advantage of the money at 9.25 by Andrei Chemnikov. Now we know his injury was something we have to be a little bit more worried about that situation over there. The funny thing, next season the two goalies are on UFA with Dougie Hamilton, and you don't have the good thing about them. The best player, they still have a couple of years with not over 9 million. Honestly, Howe went 8.4 for 5 years, four more years. So that's pretty good on that one over there.
It is, yeah. That deal is going to look real good. I mean, everything about him has looked great. They're overpaying Stahl still, but he is what he is. I mean, he'll have 2 years after this season, so it's not the end of the world. Niederreiter is a bad contract.
If you look about this, I think you have two things to improve. I think they should find a good goalie, a better goalie situation.
Oh, yeah.
They missed one players on the top 9.
Probably. They need that would be, it's too bad they don't have the money to get a Hoffman, because that would actually be a fit here. Like what they would need to do is, I was surprised they didn't buy out Niederreiter. He's just so inconsistent. Like 1 minute he looks like a star, and then he looks like he doesn't care. And what's funny is like the other guy, his line mate from Portland, who's another Swiss player, was Sven Barchi. So you see two guys with the same problem. It's like they're talented, but they don't consistently bring it. So their work ethic's kind of a problem.
This year, I have only 11 goals, right? So we have to give it. You have a bad
30 the year before.
But prior to this, you have 23 goals. You know what I mean? They have 8. You have 18 goals. You have 25 goals.
Yeah.
20 goals. 24 goals. So
I guess he's okay. Like if he can get back to that 25 goal mark, then you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think he can get that 20 goals regular like this year again. I think, you know what I mean? Like it would have been that year.
You're probably right.
You know what I mean? And again, I'm not here to.
He needs a big year. He needs to come back. So, but he was like an afterthought last year. Like they had him playing on the fourth line.
Yes. So now I just want to know more if they sign up like, and the player not on the lineup there. It's Jeremy Bracco.
Because that'll be interesting to watch if he can crack a spot. Because I believe Bracco was a really good signing. Like they signed him. Let's see, how much did they sign him for? Is he on here?
700,000.
So that's like if he can play up, I believe he can play top 6, at least top 9. I mean, he's a shorter player, but he's pretty thick. Like it's weird that they don't have him on here.
I know, but he's just a.
There he is. He's right there. Yeah. So look at all the guys ahead of him, even on the minor league paychecks. So he's only 23. He was a Memorial Cup, hero. He played really well when Windsor or Oshawa? Oshawa won the Memorial Cup. And you've got guys that will never play in the NHL, like Jason Cotton, Steven Lorenz. No offense to them. Morgan Geekie's a deal at 760. Will Matthews play? I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong. The Russian kid's okay. Like he plays in the queue, right? David Cotton, I feel like that's more of an AHL contract where he could be a real good AHL player. Dominic Bach and Ryan Suzuki, I understand why they're getting more, but Bracco, I think, has the ability to be a real cheap NHL effective player.
Yep. I think on that list, I really like Morgan Kiki. And also, I would be surprised to see what now Ryan Suzuki is going to do. Are they going to bring him back in OHL, or he's going to be back and playing?
I am really. It's really going to be interesting because I think that he is playing for Saginaw, right? So he was traded to Saginaw, and Saginaw is like one of 3 U.S. teams in the OHL. And I mean, my conversation was that they need a full building, and that the ownership is not real keen on cutting checks to lose money. So if they can't have full building, and they're to them a full building is 3,500 fans. So is Ryan Suzuki going to go back to that? I would be very surprised if he does go back. Then I bet you that maybe Saginaw doesn't even play. Let's say they do play. He has nothing to prove there. I mean, he would be a player that I think maybe you could take a risk on and put him in your lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Dominic Bach, frankly, like Dominic Bach could probably play in the NHL right now.
That's another one you have to look about that one there. Now he loaned at ELC, but it's another.
He's a good player.
He played I mean, it's like, but it will be very interesting what happening over there. I think it's another. I believe Carolina is easily top 15 in NHL.
Yeah, they're definitely a playoff team in my opinion. Like maybe they surprise us and kind of get in the top 10.
Yep. I agree with you, Bon. So we'll see what happens. I think if they can get maybe a goalie, something like that. I love personnel. I love the management. He did a lot of good trade. If you think about this, you talk about Chicago trade. Yeah, I think he also got Hamilton. So that's another good one over there. He got, the Rangers over there too. And, he got Mashwek from Detroit. So he's not a passive manager, right? If he get there, you can cross check Jordan Bell, Stall, you can get also Taravina, and then you can go all the way with Niederrender, and he got, so he's really active and he's looking for the best, and we'll see what happening with them. And
just have some bad contracts, but I don't think they kill them. Like I think those guys are okay. They're just overpaid, right? But he's got like a really deep. He's got one of the deepest prospect pools in the NHL. Like, who is 8 or 9 prospects deep that could legitimately play in the NHL?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I think they need a little bit more from Brett
Pesci.
Yeah, I think they need him more because he never played a full season since like 16, 17. And I think his expectations may be more offensive. 2 years ago, he had 30 points. This year, only 18 and 61 game. But I think he can be an asset, like a third defenseman where they need. Of course, we know already what Slavin play. He played almost 30 minutes now. He become really the quarterback at the top. Slavin would be the top 5 defenseman on my preview, on my vision for an NHL the next 2 years.
Do you think he's getting better?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I mean, I will say he is better than anybody thought. Like he is definitely their top. Well, he's top 2, right? Like it depends where you slate Dougie Hamilton, but I think overall he's probably better than Dougie.
The last 3 years, right? 8 goals, 6 goals, 30, 31, 36 point. You watch him play. I know a little bit more because he came from Colorado. But the point behind him is like, he was played for Colorado College.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. So you never know, and that's maybe a great message we can deliver to the listener. Like, if you have a kid play hockey, you never know the path, and some players never be draft. And Martin St. Louis, and we can go many great story in NHL. They never be draft, and then they make all the way up. And a great way for him, it was, of course, he played at Colorado Thunderbird for many years.
Crazy. And I scouted his younger brother, and he's got another brother. Like he's a good story.
His sister, she was very good. She played in Division 1.
Oh, the sister too, right?
Yeah, I coached with her, and I know the family very well.
Are there 4 kids or 5?
I think you have 5. And the funny thing is, like, when he was played from Chicago Steel, I can 12, 13. After that, he went to Colorado College. I can tell you that they never thought, and nowhere in that family thought he's going to play in NHL. Like they would never think about the kid going to be in NHL one day. It's funny how thing you never know. You get maybe someone believe on you, trust you, everything like that, and then boom, you got that away over there. So
very true.
Good for him. 6'3", 2,000, 207 pounds, and so left 26 years old. See, he's like 26. He took him years before he made the NHL. He did not show up at 18 years old, 19 years old, the kid.
Yeah, I think you're right. He does continue to improve, and I think people are just realizing how good he is. There was obviously I think there's lots of movement on that roster to, places they can move out some bad stuff, but overall they're a very deep team and they get production down the lineup and they got tons of prospects that are legit.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. They lose a couple of players, Sami Vatanen and then Trevor Van Ristick for defensemen. Of course, we have to talk about, one of the, not an icon because he was played before that at Los Angeles King, and but Justin Williams was, I really believe, the one thing that I like from Carolina, since that franchise been there, they always be loyal with their players.
Very true. Yeah. Hermano's family.
You can talk about Francis, Brenda Moore over there, and I believe William will be part of this organization as a consultant or maybe a coach, something like that. I just feel that way. I could be wrong, but I think he loved it there.
I will say, Ron Francis has a lot of fingerprints on this team too, because he was very patient. He loaded them up, and a lot of those guys panned out. And I want to point out a couple players that aren't there. Nicholas Waugh. So they only moved him out. I'm like, why would you trade this guy? I love this guy. And there he is in Vegas, and he's made that roster. 6'4", 6'5" centerman that can skate and play. Julian Gauthier for the Rangers, it looks like a 6'4" power forward that can score. So they had to have all the players they do have, plus those guys. It's interesting, but they got to stop signing Maple Leaf guys.
Yeah, but again,
our team are the Toronto Maple Leafs.
They never get, he never get his chance. Nicolas Roy with
But you know what, Pierre? Every time they called him up, he scored in the AHL. Every time they called this guy up, he would score with Carolina. He played well. You would notice him on the ice the way you notice him with Vegas. So I was very surprised, but it is what it is. And when he played Team Canada, he was really good for the World Juniors.
Yep.
And Gauthier. Right. I'm gonna go to breakfast.
Yep. So anything else to add on that one today? It was great to be here a Saturday. When we have something, we come back, everything like that, and maybe we have something going on. We'll be back short tomorrow, Sunday, and I believe tomorrow is Dallas. No, Chicago.
No, Chicago.
Right? So many C's.
So many C's.
So many C's in NHL.
All right.
I just want to let you know, thank you so much. You bring a lot of continents on about. You work a lot on those preview teams, so I appreciate a lot. We love it. So thank you.
People enjoy them.
Have an amazing, great Saturday, and I will see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks, Michael.
Bye, Pierre.